Hello, Yuba City. This is GiGi Capone, and you are now tuned into the Business Report right here on KRYC Rhythm 105.9 FM. And today's special guest is the one, the only, Kid Rasta. Now, everyone knows I'm a big fan of hip-hop, rock and roll, pop, but I have a special love for reggae in my heart. So that's why I share some of the music that I like to listen to with my guests as well on my show. Without further ado, Kid Rasta, welcome to the show.
A pleasure. Thank you for having me here today.
Now, I want to share with you, typically, we don't play a lot of reggae music on the station unless it's requested. And the Business Report is mainly the one that gets the request for all the reggae music because of my contacts and my reach to the reggae world. And let me tell you, Spaceman Bubble did great. Your publicist, Melissa Bessie, connected us through, actually, Shaky J.
Yes.
And ever since then, we've been getting a lot of requests. So it's a great pleasure to have you here on the show with us, especially since we've been spinning your music.
This is great. I'm glad to be here. Yeah, I love crossing the borders and going into the States. It's hard for me to get my words across sometimes, but it's great to have venues like this that I can, say what I have to say.
Well, there's an old rule in publicity. As long as you can keep mumbling, you're good.
Right on.
So for our listeners who may not be familiar with your music or may not have heard For Your Love yet, why don't you give us a little background on how you got your start in reggae music?
You know what? I remember one day I was sitting in Toronto and I was like, Mom, can I go to Jamaica? And I was about 16 and she's like, no, you cannot. And as the week progressed, I kind of got the nerve to just go to the airport, jump on a plane, and head over to Jamaica because that's what my vibe was telling me to do.
At 16?
I called my mama from a payphone up on top of a hill, and it was 9 miles where Bob Marley was born. And I really didn't know to sing too good, man. But when I came up that hill, I kind of knew how to sing a little bit better, and the vibes are really cool. I came out there writing a song for Bob. It was called 9 Miles, and that's what started the whole writing.
Wait a minute. Stop. So at 16 years old, your mom told you no, you can't go, and you did it anyway?
Yes.
I would have beat you.
I was one of those kids.
I would have beat you with the broom when you came home.
She was like, when you get home, I'm telling your dad right now.
I don't blame your mother.
I have Italian parents, and I'm so lucky to just jump right on a plane and come there and just grab me by my ear and pull me back home.
So what was it like on the hill?
What was what?
What was it like on the hill? You ran away to a hill and you started recording when your mom told you not to. What was that like at 16 years old?
You know what? It was like a calling, and I really had to go. And when my mom totally understands, and now that it's 20 years later, she looks back at it and has a good laugh about it. Remember that time? You know, she's like, that's how stubborn you were. And I was like, well, I took after my parents, so like they didn't say too much about it.
Well, it did you some good. You've actually released 4 independent albums, haven't you?
Yes, I have.
Wow, how did that go for you? I mean, you're not signed to a major. I mean, are you feeling the results that you've gotten from your 4 releases?
You know what? I think just because some of the words that I've always wanted to get changed whenever I talk to the majors, and I'm just not about changing anything. That I think one day one of the majors is going to jump on board once they see exactly where my vibe's going, and I don't want to change for nothing.
You know what?
When you're doing a positive, true vibe, you really don't want nobody tampering with it, especially people in suits.
Oh, that's something to be said with that. Go with the flow of the music because there's plenty of fans out there who love hearing it just as it is. Now, you've opened for some of the biggest artists in the reggae industry. Ziggy Marley, Lenny Kravitz, Jimmy Cliff. I mean, wow, that's huge.
Yeah, you know what? All a blessing. Definitely a blessing. I always say it's funny what the little predicaments God throws me into, and next thing you know, I'm on stage and I'm opening up for Jimmy Cliff, or I'm opening up for Ziggy Marley, and I'm freaking out. I'm just like, I can't get the smile off my face for about 4 or 5 days after, too.
Wow, so it wasn't planned, it just happened?
Yeah, just what just happens and pops up. You know, like you'll be working on one thing so hard, the next thing you know, there's a phone call comes out of the blue that you had nothing to do with, and they're like, hey, you want to open up for, Jimmy Cliff? And doors open that you don't expect, it's always a blessing.
We're big Ziggy and Lenny and Jimmy Cliff fans out here. What was it like with finding Ja at 9 Mile? Melissa told me to ask you about that.
Oh, you know what? Finding Ja, put it this way, I was always more of a rebel youth, and when I knew I had a calling, I was always in battle, like, I got to follow the right path, which is Ja, and that's the road I did decide to choose, and it's a hard, very hard road.
What was it like for you meeting Bob Marley's mom?
Life-changing. You know what? I wrote the song about her son, actually, the night before, and, when I left the Hilltop and I started writing the song, they were like, boy, we wish you could meet Bob Marley's mother, but she's somewhere in Jamaica, we don't know where she is, and I was up on the Hilltop for about 4 days now, and I go, well, it's time to go back to my hotel and grab some clean clothes, and get my head back straight, and I went down to the resort, and I started asking everybody, because now I finished the song, and I wrote that he was born in 1945, so I started asking everybody on the resort at about 3 o'clock in the morning, when was Bob Marley born? What day was it? They're like, we don't know. Anyways, about 5 o'clock in the morning, one of the maids runs to me who just started work, and she's like, this bus just pulled up, and it's Bob Marley's mother, and she came out, and she's in the room above you visiting with a friend. And I'm like, no, she isn't. And they're like, yeah, you're talking about him all night. Isn't this funny that she showed up? And I ran up to the room above me, and she was there. And I just basically said, I wrote a song about your son. When was he born? Was he born 1945? That's what I wrote, And she was like, yeah, he was. She was like, some books will say 46, but he was born 1945. And she's like, sing it to me. And I sang it to her, and she goes, go home now and record it, and bring me a copy of the recording. And that led to a whole bunch. Like, the whole last record I just did was with Halfway Tough Gong, and we went back and forth to work with them, and that was all because of Sedella. She set it all up, and I'm a booker. And she was like, come down, you're going to start recording with us. We're going to send you one single and see what you can do. And we did that. And, unfortunately, she passed away, like, right at the ending of the record. And so did my producer. And it was, a mystic thing. But it was a pleasure to work with these people.
That being said, I don't want to keep the people from listening to the music any longer. Without further ado, let's check out Lovely by Kid Rasta. 3, 2, 1. Now, Kid Rasta, you actually have album release coming up. You just briefly touched on it a second ago. Why don't you tell us the name of the album and when we can expect for it to drop?
The name of the album is Hear Him Call, so after His Imperial Majesty. That's King Selassie, known as Rastafari to everybody. And it's going to be coming out at the end of the summer, early fall, and I'm looking so forward to sharing it with the world and couldn't be more happy about it.
Wow. I think that about sums it up and says it all. Without further ado, please introduce your newest single to the world right here on KRYC Rhythm 105.9 FM.
All right, well, this is 105.9 FM, and this song is